really trying something here today.
All right, let's see here. We are good in now. All right. I'm Andrew. This is
Um,
Brandon.
hey, yep.
We're
We
with the Yonko LLC and we're starting our coffee break right now.
so what happened is we didn't know last time we've talked Yonko specific what it means and what it is twice now in a row. We didn't want to do it three times, and then Andrew looked at some NFT news and sighed from the bottom of his heart, like just what I don't want to talk about this today, and I respect that entirely. I get that as well. And then we sort of like we're like what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about a little bit how to try to like what to do, how to deal with when the world is changing, specifically season wise. But here's a story I want to tell, okay? And Pandora's in the background, star of the channel. Um, so I have two cats, right? I have a little black cat named Fanta, and I have a big old gray cat named Pandora. And Fanta has to eat a lot more because she's little, so we have to keep putting weight on her. And Pandora is just fat enough where we get yelled at the vet. I don't. Do you have that? Do you get yelled at the vet?
Not yet, but I mean I think that will probably start happening.
Your vet will yell at you every time you go in, and you're like, "What do you want me to do?" It's just, especially. So what we have to do? Don't worry, this is gonna pay off. I swear this is
I
gonna.
I believe trust me. Yeah, I trust you completely.
I love the idea of doing. This episode is cat talk. So that's the name of this episode. Just so you
All
know,
right.
cat talk. So what we have to do is we have to take one cat, we have to put food out for her, then we have to trick Pandora into coming into this room, and then we have to close the door, and then we have to feed the one cat. And what you have to do is you have to keep putting the food in front of her, and you have to so our one cat, like, we have to pretend to eat it, and she'll get jealous, right? She'll be able to be like, "Oh my god." Like, and I'll put a lot of gusto into it. Like, I don't pretend, like, I'll sell it and be like, "This cat food is amazing. I'm gonna eat all of this." And then she's like, "No. No, I eat it." And you have to do that like 7 times. And then she goes around, and then finally she eats. And she gets finished because if you let the big one out, she won't pretend to eat it all. She'll just eat the whole dang thing in one bite, right? So you play the game, and then you let her out, and then you have both cats out, and it's finished. So what I'm trying to say is what's interesting was one of the things that I think can be really hard for the creative process is like the process to get to the process is something we barely ever talk about. Like it's one of those things like you ever have that moment where you're like, "Oh, I got to sit down," and like every pen is wrong in your hand? Like that's such
Yeah.
a frustrating feeling, and I don't know how to deal with it. And as the seasons change, and I'm dealing with a little deja vu, as the seasons change, I feel like you have to change your process, and you're always trying to stay like a step and a half in front of it. Like, and it's also, do you have this too? Do you know like when you start doing certain stuff, you're gonna like have a little bit of a slump?
Oh
Can
yeah,
you tell your
absolutely.
slump? Um, what are your slump signs?
Um well, so basically like if I sit down, if I just sit down and like nothing nothing if I'm playing something or like trying something and just like, if I'm there for like 10, 20, 30 minutes and just not liking anything that I like, I
Mhm.
mean it's going to be a bad day, I can tell.
Mine is really embarrassing. It's if I start watching Hot Ones. Hot Ones is one of my biggest like you're gonna have a rough 2 weeks because like I don't know why. Like that's the show if I watch it, I'm like celebrities are just like us. They love hot wings, which is not necessarily true. Um, but yeah, so how do you deal when you have a slump? What do you do? Do you just power through? Do you have you ever been proved do you try to prove yourself wrong? What do you do, Andrew?
Well, um it's kind of an interesting topic because I think you're right, like with the seasons changing, because I don't know about you, and this is something we haven't you and I haven't really talked about, but I mean I've certainly like suffered from depression,
Hmm.
and particularly, I mean, I feel like the last couple years, and I don't think it's necessarily the pandemic, which is the easy kind of go to, just for why we're suffering from depression, but and I'm sure that's part of it, but I don't really think that that's the underlying issue because it's stuff I've just been dealing with, for years. um, and so uh, I mean, in a way, like, music creation and everything is sort of a way of dealing with that. But I think that kind of what you might be getting at is that even though it's a way of coping with it and can be therapeutic, it's still a process, and it's still something that like kind of has to be worked through and embedded, kind of into uh, your creative process. I think.
Yeah, I think that's something that we come back to quite a lot here is sort of like the fact that you're always, I don't want to say battling yourself, that sounds far too metal than it is, but you're always trying to like you're trying to deal with the bad days so that you can have the good days, because if you don't deal with the bad days, they just kind of keep coming. But man, you
Mhm.
lose sometimes, and sometimes you end up watching hot ones and you're just like, celebrities are just like us, man. Uh,
Right.
it's not a good show, I don't think, I would argue. I mean, people might love, I think this needs to be called cat. Also, I need to bring this up because I'm gonna talk about what's happening in the room, okay?
Sure.
Or a star of the channel. Came in here, said hello, ate a little food, heard I was talking about her, pooped in a box, and then left. And now I'm living in this world,
With the smelly cat poop.
with smelly cat poop. This is
Yeah.
the I don't know if you could
I can see the look on your face, where you're
hold
trying to
on,
ignore it.
Andrew, fill for a minute. I have to open a window.
Yeah. Well, and so if we're talking about cats, so anyway, like what you were mentioning earlier about the feeding, so that's actually pretty similar to what we have to do with our dog,
Uh-huh.
which you heard earlier, and I'm sure that my dog has showed up on on the podcast at some point, with the barking. But so her name is Luna, and she's doing this really weird thing where like she'll we have this bell, for her when she wants food, so she'll just ring it. And well, okay, I said it's a bell, but just because I was afraid to admit that it's actually a little toy piano. So she bangs on this toy piano. Yeah. So she bangs on this toy piano, and it's like, I mean, and you know, just so we're all clear, like it's not a gentle bang. It's like bam. you know. So she'll ring that, and then um, I'll try and feed her, because for a while she would only eat out of my hand. But now she's doing this weird thing where I'll like try to feed her and then she'll just stand there. So we have to go through this ritual of like I try to feed her and then I put it in the bowl and then she'll come over and eat it. So
Pets are probably 70%. Um, I'm glad I opened the window. I know it might ruin some. Also, we made the numbers. I need to get a headset. It's just they're so expensive. We'll talk later. Um,
yeah, what was your goal? Was your goal 700?
so the goal was either 1,000 for Yonko main or 20 for one, which was incredibly low. Like I really wanted to make that number. And
Yeah.
do this one trick now has like 26 views. So we're making it. We're super making it.
All right.
Uh, gonna
We're
be
going viral. Make sure you comment down below. Like, subscribe, and comment down below.
the ears of God smash. Come on. Um, so I feel like pets. It's also it's interesting because every time that she hits the piano, do you go Louie Louie, because that's what you're supposed to do, just so you know.
I will
Ah,
do that
and
for
Louie
now.
Louie again. Um, but I always like that pets are like 70% of just the best thing in the world, and 30% an absolute nightmare that you have to deal with. Like,
Yep.
I've just bills and one gets if you have more than one pet, no, neither of them are going to be not healthy. I don't want to say that, but like one of them is going to be vet. One of them is always going to be costing you money. Everything costs money. So what rituals get in the way for you to make stuff? Do you feel like, Andrew?
Rituals?
Yeah, like do you feel like you is there stuff you have to complete that's screwing you up any?
Um, well, let me think about that. Well, can you answer that?
Oh, rituals. Yeah, oh yeah. I can
Yeah.
get lost on the internet fast. The fastest way to
Mm.
to stop my process is for me to go. I'm going to check my email first because like
Yeah.
it that. I'm not. I am a the rat that pushes the button for the treat is in my head, and he can get distracted like that. Like it is so. There we go. I'm not. I wasn't gonna let a bad snap happen. But I feel like it's funny because a lot of our art is electronic. We talk through email. I make all my work digitally. Your process is very. I don't want to say digital, but it's very like technical, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's very effect driven. Yeah, for
yeah,
this,
yeah.
for these products that we're doing. Yeah.
For these products, they're very effect driven. So the enemy of productivity stands right next for me, right next to the uh, tools of productivity, and it is like you go to post something on Instagram. It's so easy to fall down, and it's so easy to go. And
Mhm.
then you're watching people, like, pick a color, and you're like, "What?" You ever I just have these moments, or, like, they're doing, like, the thing where they're trying to stack a thing, and you're like, "That's something." You're like, "I'm just watching someone play a phone game. What
Right.
how where am I?" Like,
Yeah. Well, and
so
I think that that kind of leads into, I mean, the whole like social media thing, which um I mean, because I think that that's a real danger for like Facebook and you know we're certainly not the only ones who have talked about this at all, but that's like the danger of me, for Facebook. And like I don't know if you feel this way, but like I just I don't like the way my head feels like when I start going down that rabbit hole. It just it's I don't know, it starts to feel really I don't know, like it's wasting away or something. I don't know if that's
it's probably that's A, we should all just be talking about it more because if we don't talk about it, it doesn't go anywhere. And, uh, how we feel is when you go down that rabbit hole should probably be discussed because, like, we don't nobody talks about the fact that at least once a week, our this thing we carry with us
mm,
puts us in a headspace where, like, it feels like, at least for me, bees are banging on the inside of my eyes and the top of my head while I go,
yeah.
"Ugh." Like I'm both zombified and freaking out at the same time. And that
Right.
happens like regularly. Like
Right.
that's a pretty normal occurrence. And that
Well, yeah.
we should all stop and talk about that every once in a while.
Well, yeah, and like I've been telling this to a few people recently, but like for some reason my news algorithm, yeah, what I've been saying is that my news algorithm thinks that I care about this, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, Pete Davidson thing, you know, and so like the articles like keep popping up on my news feed, with all this, and but now I'm thinking like, well, maybe I do care about it. Like, why is it, I mean, it keeps popping up there. Like, I mean, I mean, maybe this news algorithm knows me better than I do. It's like,
That
I
is
mean,
That's because they keep wanting, and I'm not talking like low taxes, um, no government interference. That my algorithm wants me to fall down a terrifyingly alt right hole. Like they want
right,
so bad, and like
uh,
I'm a I'm pretty. I mean, I'm grill pilled like a son of a gun. Um, but my wife has called me and we have 1 minute and 30 seconds left. We will finish this conversation and I'm going to immediately call her back. Okay. So we
okay,
got to get to the end. This is a fascinating moment in because we can't pause it. And I can't,
yep,
it's going to be longer than a minute. And this is the tension we're talking about right now.
that's right.
Like, it's
But this,
this
I don't mind this kind of tension though. Like,
But it's there's a phone call you need, and you're doing a thing, and every image, every screen around me has just said your wife has called you, but you have a minute to take care of something, and it's probably nothing. It's probably fine, and she's gonna go. I just wanted to
right,
say hi, but what if it's not? And the bees are screaming in my head again.
exactly, yeah.
And
No,
what
and
is
it's like, yeah, I mean, like,
Jason doing?
right, and like, if I get a text, yeah, especially, from my wife or,
Oh,
somebody they care about, it's like, oh, crap, I got to check this, no matter where I am, if I'm working or in a meeting or whatever. So,
I don't want to complain about this, but there was a time with my parents where my dad would see my mom, and they would see each other at the end of the day. He would work, and then they'd see each other. and it's good that I'm constantly in contact with my wife, but also I'm constantly in contact with my wife, and that's kind of weird. That at any moment that I like, and like it's, I'm not complaining, but it's expected that you send at least two tweets every day or two text messages every day to the person you're with. You used to
Mhm.
just not have to talk to each other.
Right.
Oh yeah, that was a heavy one. That was weird. I
Yeah.
gotta